This video is sponsored by Opera, a reimagined and better way to browse the internet. Download the browser for free by using my link in the description. You're 30 years old. You work at an insurance company. You despise insurance, or at least you despise the tedium and bureaucracy of it, which abounds in your day-to-day. You are often tired and anxious. Life is a big question mark for you. In your free time, you find solace in books and writing. That's what you really love to do. That's who you really want to be. A writer. Whenever you can, you write stories and essays, exploring the various ideas that rummage around in your brain, trying to make sense of them through the synthesis of ink and paper. The problem is, unfortunately, you're not very good. Your writing is often bungled, pedantic, and mechanical. You've published a couple of your stories in literary magazines, but no one really noticed or cared for them. You get it. Ultimately, you know your writing is mostly pointless and futile. You don't even finish most of what you start. You currently have tons of unfinished stories that are close to being done, though it's hard to say exactly how close, since they're so deeply flawed. You don't really share your work with anyone now, except maybe a couple close friends on occasion. In all reality, you should probably just give up. Focus on your insurance job. You don't have that special something that the greats have or had. So, that's what you do. You continue on in your insurance job, never really trying to see your writing through. You are the world-renowned writer and novelist, Franz Kafka. After you die, your work is found, saved, and published, and you go on to become one of the most revered and influential existential writers in history, inspiring millions, if not billions, of people for centuries to come to think and write about the same ideas and stories you once did. Ideas and stories born of your mind and work, serving as a peak in the droning background frequency of human activity. You will never know any of this. You're 28. You were just fired from your second job in a row. You're enthusiastic, but an apparent liability. Out of a mix of passion and desperation, for the first time, you pick up a paintbrush. It feels right, like a connective tissue between you and a beauty in the world that was otherwise missing. This is what you want to do now. This is who you want to be. A painter, an artist. For years and years, you make no money. You survive mostly on the support of your brother. Your diet consists mainly of bread, coffee, and absinthe. Sometimes you forego eating entirely, just to help scathe by and be less of a burden. Every so often, you sell or trade a painting, but nothing particularly noteworthy and not for a particularly good amount of money. Your greatest fear is that you will never meaningfully contribute to the world, and this fear is coming true. You're a failure. You know a life as a successful painter will almost certainly never be a reality. But you keep painting. It's all you have, until you have nothing left at all. You are Vincent Van Gogh. You are one of the greatest painters in all of human history. After you die, your paintings will be collected, distributed, and showcased all over the world. They will be adored by millions, if not billions, of people, changing the way they think about art, expression, nature, beauty, and life itself. Reproductions of your work will appear in nearly every sort of place and room imaginable. They will be printed onto essentially every object conceivable and inconceivable to you, from shirts to cell phone cases. Originals of your work will sell for hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. You will never know any of this. You're 35. You live a quiet, isolated life in a small town. You help take care of your family and your family's home. There aren't a ton of other options for you. Your favorite thing to do, however, is write poetry. You have written 1,800 poems. In the privacy of your bedroom, you often review them, creating clean copies of them and assembling them into books. You don't have much you can or want to do with these books, though. Occasionally, you send some of your poems to your friends and family. You've also had a few poems published in newspapers, but they needed to be published anonymously because of who you are. And, worse, they needed to be significantly altered in order to be good enough to be published. By the time they were in their final published form, they no longer maintained any meaningful conduit to your heart. Your writing is, apparently, not good enough, and you are, apparently, not worthy of or wanted in such a role as a poet and a writer. The world, the culture and time in which you exist, is dismissive of you. It rejects you. It doesn't understand you. It doesn't really want you. And so, you don't want it. You reject it and venture further into isolation and your own head. You are Emily Dickinson. You are one of the greatest and most innovative poets in American history, perhaps all of history. After you die, your work will be found, organized, and published, preserving as much of the remnants of your heart as possible. Your work will be read by millions, if not billions, of people. It will make so many of them feel like they know you, like you knew them. like you understand each other. You will go on to influence and change the very structure and arrangement of poetry itself. You will inspire countless women to find and stay true to their voices no matter what. You will never know any of this. You're 40. You're primarily a meteorologist and geophysicist, dabbling in climatology and polar research. You occasionally go on expeditions around the world to study weather. You are obsessed with knowing how the world physically works. You dedicate your life to searching for answers and insights in this realm. Occasionally, you believe you find them. Right now, you believe you've just discovered your greatest life-defining insight. Based on fossils, plants, and rock strata that you found across different continents, you believe you've uncovered sufficient evidence that all the continents in the world used to be one. And, over time, they've since moved and separated into the forms they are now. You publish these findings and your theory in a book. You are rewarded by the scientific community with scathing ridicule. The continents used to be connected by land bridges that have since collapsed or been covered by the ocean. Obviously. Everybody knows that. Conferences are held in honor of your ignorance. You're a glorified weatherman, a crazy person. You are wrong about so much, and now you are largely unhireable. You are Alfred Wegener. You're one of the greatest scientists of your era. You are the first person to propose in detail a complete theory of continental drift, which, after you die, will go on to be understood and validated as the way in which land masses move and have come to form over time. The answer you desired, the insight you believed you found, will be confirmed, and it will alter science's understanding of the very planet it was born out of. You will never know any of this. These are just a few stories on a long list of many like them. Stories of individuals whose work, during their lifetimes, went completely unknown, disparaged, or both. Stories of individuals who lived and died believing, knowing, their work was bad or that they failed, only for their work and lives to go on to become dog-eared pages in the book of human history. What these stories seem to elucidate is not only the poignancy of these individuals' lives, but also the poignancy of the fact that there are likely countless other stories like them that no one will ever know. If it wasn't for Kafka's friend, Max Brod, who, after Kafka passed, spent much of his life working to preserve, publish, and share Kafka's work, 90% of which had already been burned by Kafka. If it wasn't for Van Gogh's sister-in-law, Johanna van Gogh Bonger, who, after Van Gogh passed, spent much of her life looking for, collecting, maintaining, and distributing as much of Van Gogh's work as she could. If it wasn't for Dickinson's sister, Lavinia, who, after Emily passed, spent countless hours sifting through and working to have her poems edited and published. And if it wasn't for the later work of the geologists Harry Hess and Robert Dietz, who, after Wegener's passing, validated his theory through their development of the concept of seafloor spreading, the world would not have known of any of these individuals, of any of their work and their stories. One can only wonder how many stories there are of greats who never were. How many people every day, every year, every generation exist and die with pages in their desk, files on their computer, ideas in their mind, or passions in their heart that never get found or let out. How many people experience the same sort of self-doubt, rejection, or resistance that Kafka, Van Gogh, Dickinson, and Wegener did? And so, they give up, or hide their work, or burn their work, or their work goes forever ignored. How often is world-changing art or theories thrown into the pile of worthless old belongings? Worse, how many individuals never even try to begin with, never pick up the paintbrush, or seek their voice, whose voice and art would change the world forever? Of course, success in the form of recognition or fame is not the sole point of life, and for many of us, it might not be the point whatsoever. And that's fair, and perhaps a healthy sentiment. But even for those of us who are less concerned with such things, we nonetheless still have our interests, our aspirations and passions, our desires to find answers, or to create things that help us deal with the reality that most answers aren't out there. These interests and creations often come with the hopes that they find a home, a blank in the puzzle of human experience and understanding. We all want to be, at least a little bit, a part of the conversation that we have been sitting in the audience for. We have something to say, and to say something necessitates being heard, at least on some level. No matter who we are and what success might mean for us, one of the greatest lessons we can find in the work of Kafka, of Van Gogh, of Dickinson, of Wegener, and the list of others like them, is to recognize that none of us know when our abilities, focuses, and hopes will intersect favorably with time and circumstance. For some of us, it is early in life. For others of us, it is later. And for some of us, it is after. It can be easy to reach mid or late age without having found success or opportunity and take this as a sign that it is never going to happen, that we are a failure, that we've missed the boat, that there is no boat, that time is up. But, as Kafka, Van Gogh, Dickinson, Wegener, and all the rest show, that's not how time and circumstance work. They keep going and keep changing. And so long as we do as well, it is possible that we might still find that intersection, that our efforts and work might still find their home. Of course, for many of us, life demands certain things, certain focuses, and certain responsibilities that we can only control so much of and must oblige. We don't and can't all pursue our interests equally. We are not all given the same starting points and the same resources. And the reality is, for the majority of us, no matter how hard we try, we will likely not find the sort of grand success that we read about in biographies, or watch in movies, or hear about in videos. What good would these stories be if not for their rarity? But the point is not that most of us will become successful, world-renowned individuals in our areas of interest. The point is that we don't know if we are or will, or to what extent and when, unless we try and keep trying as best we can until the bitter end. We cannot take our own current evaluations of ourselves and our work as complete litmus tests for our potential. Self-doubt can distort one's view as much as self-confidence, and one never knows for sure how much distortion they are experiencing. That's the problem with distorted self-perception. You can't even see the distortion. And furthermore, we cannot take the world's current evaluations as complete litmus tests either. Sometimes the world does not know what it wants, and sometimes it takes a while for it to realize. As Kafka said, art flies around truth, but with the definite intention of not getting burnt. Its capacity lies in finding in the dark void a place where the beam of light can be intensely caught without this having been perceptible before. In the end, perhaps the point is less about where our work goes and more about the fact that we care for it and ourselves enough to try it, to keep it, to complete it, to release it into the world. For those of us who have not found our voices yet, or have not found a way for our voice to reach a stage or ear, we simply do not and cannot know when or if this moment will come, when that seat on a stage will open, or when that right ear will hear. We don't know if it will be next year, in 10, right at the last moment, or sometime after everything ends. But if we continue on as long as we possibly can, even if we die without knowing if there is a continued life to our work, at least we can know that we tried, and that the possibility always remains. In the words of Van Gogh, I feel such a creative force in me. I'm convinced that there will be a time when, let us say, I will make something good every day on a regular basis. I am doing my very best to make every effort because I am longing so much to make beautiful things. But beautiful things mean painstaking work, disappointment, and perseverance. Unlike in the past, our current access to creative tools, information, and platforms that we can use to produce and share art and insights across the entire world is ubiquitous, with life-changing information and opportunities always one click away. Crucial to this process is our web browser, one of, if not our most important tool. For so long, default web browsers have remained mostly the same. This video sponsor, Opera, however, transforms and innovates the browsing experience with tons of incredible built-in features and beautiful customizability. Of course, our workflow is crucial when researching, creating, or consuming on the internet, and when it comes to organization, Opera is unmatched. Through tab islands, I can easily and precisely organize all my tabs based on context, like the topic, time, or purpose of the tabs, and then I can collapse all of them to save visual space. When trying to quickly locate my main tabs of focus in any given moment, I can use tab traces, which is a subtle underline that marks my most recent tabs with varying darkness. The darker the underline, the more recent the tab was visited. When referencing, watching, or reviewing two tabs at the same time, there's no need for multiple windows with Opera. Simply drag a tab down and utilize its built-in split-screen functionality. If its vastly cleaner organization wasn't enough, Opera also lets you customize the look and feel of everything, with tons of different themes like Classic, Midsummer, Aurora, and Twilight. There's also Aria, an integrated AI tool. While you're amid your browsing, with just a quick shortcut, you can instantly access Aria's command line and get clear information about terms, answers to questions, or summaries of entire web pages. This, of course, makes browsing vastly more efficient, with the immediate access to additional information helping keep your browsing in the right direction. Aria can also easily generate new images from a single prompt, and you can ask Aria questions about photos you find or take, like what the name of an art piece or monument in a photo is, helping close the entire loop from seeking to finding to creating. Opera essentially has everything you'd ever need in one browser. Discover all that Opera has to offer and transform your browsing experience by downloading Opera for free using my link in the description. And of course, as always, thank you so much for watching in general, and see you next video.